All right, my friends, beautiful, beautiful day here in Georgia. About 80 degrees, a little bit of clouds in the sky. It's freaking awesome. It's funny, this is how it is up in Maine during the summertime. This is a fall day here in Georgia. You can see the trees haven't changed colors yet, but they will. It's not quite as beautiful as it is in the Northeast, but for the lack of 6-month winter, it's still pretty doggone good. And maybe I'll take a GoPro up to Blue Ridge again. During the fall. I'll do it during the day when it's not that much traffic. And guy has a Philadelphia Eagles bumper sticker. Boo! Boo! And you'll see the beautiful mountains of Georgia with the foliage and all. It's just fantastic. All right, so given the beautiful nature of our climate and of our world and the need to protect it, you've got to educate yourself on the fake that is climate change hysteria. You've got to do this, my friends. They are all faking it, and it's propaganda no different than the communist propaganda where they zero out like Trotsky never existed for that. It's the same stuff going on. And people are dying too. I mean, look at these climate change eco-terrorists. The guy in New Zealand and there's a guy here, I forgot where he was, El Paso, were eco warriors. They did not like population. I mean, human beings are hurting the environment. And thus, they took it upon themselves to murder these people, innocent people. This happens over and again. You've got to stand up against these people, which means you've got to be educated so you can tell your kids what they're teaching in school is fake. It's no different than economics textbooks teaching about the Phillips curve and stuff. It's no different than that. It's no different than economic textbooks teaching about the benefits of Keynesianism economics or Marxism economics. And yet the only people who can stand up against them because they dominate academia, which comes from kindergarten on up. I was reading Andrew Yang said today, or yesterday, something like that. Basically going to ban the private use of vehicles because we have this electric fleet just comes and picks you up. Yeah, that's great. You're not banning my damn car. You're not. I love the idea of not keeping a vehicle in my garage and being able to call a vehicle robotically driven to pick me up and take me where I need to be. I love the idea. I damn well ever be banned from owning a vehicle. It's not your business, Andrew. And what's the point of it? Because of climate change propaganda. We know the IPCC. We know the International Panel on Climate Change. These are all big government fascists who want to take over every aspect of your life. They know they can't do it on the basics of old socialism in terms of as an economic power. They can't. They try. If you're so willing to read, as well you should be, the history of their advancements of saying socialism is going to take over the economic power of the U.S. They tried year over year over year. But after 1989, how ironic, in 1989 was the communist falls. And that's where they changed from socialism to now climate change. And so they're using climate change now. Sorry about my hair being a mess. Ooh, it's actually a little bit hot. Feels good though. Now climate change is their big government way to restructure society they want it to be. Which is they have all the freedom and you just sit there like an educated, just lifeless soul. Do what they tell you to do. Big government, big business, big labor. The epitome of fascism right there. And yet, the sad thing is a lot of Americans just go on blindly because they're too busy looking at their fantasy football leagues without taking the time to say, you know something? These guys have been predicting imminent decline for years. One of these days, we're going to have to say, you know, you guys are full of crap. I'm tired of it. And then you look at what they tell your kids, and the kids aren't old enough to know any better. They're going to say, hey, look, in 1979, the climate has increased And, and temperatures, oh my goodness. But they're not going to tell you what happened before that. In 1953, the sea levels have risen. But they're not going to tell you what happened before that. It's just fake stuff, my friends. And it's on you to stand up against this by educating yourself. You've got to do this. The first place you go is the Energy Advocate, theenergyadvocate.com. Read my man there. I forgot I think it's Howard Hayden, Hayden, I believe. Read him. Always, I'd say this a million times a Sunday. Read the book Hot Air, the facts behind sustainable living. I forgot what it's called. It's called Hot Air. I forgot McKay is a guy who wrote it, and he's since passed. Mackay. I think it's David. Hot Air, the truth behind sustainable energy, something like that. Read that. Now, McKay is not an advocate of fossil fuels. I'll tell you that right now. My man Howard Hayden, he's just a realist. He might be an advocate of fossil fuels. I certainly am. But you start with those two places and just educate yourself. And if you're one of these people, I don't know who you are, who said this, oh, you're not a scientist. All right. Then freaking just take some, and look, you can't, even Jesus says, you're a prophet in your own town, you're never going to be, you want no one to listen to a prophet in his hometown. Let's just put it that way. So you're always going to have naysayers, doubters, and all that. You can't change them, but you can change people who are like, I'd like to learn a bit more because I see the crap they're telling my kids in school, and as much as, I can't go into class and police that crap up, at least I can make them say, have you ever thought about this, to my kids, and let them develop their own critical thinking, which is what I do every day with my kids when we talk about this stuff. And look, I don't need them to believe like me. I need them to have an open mind, critical thinking. And they're not getting that in education today. I'm just telling you. This is in Georgia too, by the way. This isn't Massachusetts. This is in Georgia. And the stuff they're teaching in Georgia isn't good either. Because at the end of the day, the Republican Party is just as much to blame as the Democratic Party in big government propaganda. So we know that the truth is not being taught. And look, everyone can say the truth is your truth, my truth. No, there is the truth. And what these people are doing are lying. And sadly, if you don't stand up and take education and seriously and teach yourself what's really going on, your life is going to be vastly altered. It really is. And you don't need to you go to town council, all that. I'm just talking about educating your kids to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? All these people, and the examples are endless. The one I always like, though, is, so CO2 is a problem. Yeah, that's bad. Why are you getting that airplane? Literally, if CO2 is a problem, why are you getting the airplane? It's literally that simple, my friends. Well, it's going there anyway. It would be going there anyway if people like you who think CO2 is a problem did not get on the airplane. Always just use that. CO2 is a problem, why get on the airplane? If they say they don't fly, hey, I don't believe it, but okay. Let's say they say they don't fly. Whew. Well, let's see what else. Okay, if CO2 is a problem, then how come then in the mid part of this century, of this last century, when the parts per million were still going up from 300 to 400 over the course of the 20th century, the Earth actually cooled significantly, where everyone's worried about another little ice age. If CO2 leads to global temperatures rising, how come that did not happen? I don't know. Or then how come it didn't happen in the little ice age when there wasn't as high CO2, but we had the medieval warm period? Just ask these questions. It's simple. Medieval warm period, there wasn't high CO2 like we have today. Little ice age, there wasn't high CO2 like we have today. So how do you explain that? All right, 1960s, horrifically cold here in the world, global temperatures. CO2 had increased significantly from 1900 to then, but the temperatures went the other direction. All right, let's say the Earth has warmed up a little bit over the last 40 years or so. I challenged that to some degree, but let's just say it did. Well, okay, does that cause the CO2? So you have 4 instances of the Earth changing. Only one, if you're going to go the CO2 equals global warming increases, can be attributed to CO2 increase in global warming increases, because we have 3 others. Global cooling twice. When CO2 was, we had global cooling in the middle part of the century when CO2 was increasing rapidly. Then we had global cooling in the middle of the Little Ice Age when CO2 was low. But then we had medieval warm period when CO2 was low. So how do you square that circle, man? That's what you got to do. You say, okay. And then you say, what are you going to do about it? I mean, literally. Well, I'm not going to take a plan. Okay. What else? Well, the government needs to do something. The government is people. Hey, what are you going to tell China and India? They're ramping up their coal-fired plants like crazy. You can tell them they can't do that? Because they got billions of people who are using the equivalent of what we used to use in the 1900s in terms of energy. I mean, the early 1900s, you're going to say, hey, you people in China and India, we want you to live like we used to live in the early 1900s for the environment, so we can still live with our Amazon, our Google data farms, our Netflix. You got to learn this stuff, my friends, because the propaganda is just getting worse. Now, that's a good sign. I think that's a good sign. The more screeching these people do, the more we are winning. But again, the government and academia are run by propagandists, and they want to control your life, man. No other way around that. And all the financial planning in the world we do is contingent on your ability to live the life that you want to live. If you have limitations on your ability to get energy, well, that changes everything. Or the amount of money you got to pay to heat your home, that changes everything. Or the property taxes that you're going to have to increase because they're putting more and more limits on your ability to do stuff to your own land. And the taxes are going to raise in order to put these fake PV panels farms that aren't going to do anything. That changes everything. Climate change, propaganda means higher taxes. Higher taxes means your less ability to live a comfortable life in retirement. All right, we'll see you.